Good? Sweet. So after that happened, he and I went on to produce 2 more albums. One of them was called Inciting to Riot. All the ends were backwards. I do that for a reason, which I'll get to in a moment if you're so curious about why would I reverse the letter, okay? And then the next album we actually didn't title, but we had this shiny metallic paper on the front so you could see your reflection in it. So we called it the Reflection album, but technically it's untitled. After the Reflection album, I produced one more song. We did one more song called Event Horizon. It was what I would consider, I have 2 songs that I think are my greatest musical achievements. The Dream is the last song on the Reflection album. That one is 8 minutes long, and it has, I guess, a couple of movements through it you could consider. Event Horizon is the last thing I composed. That was back in April last year or 2 years ago. It was specifically for a live performance at the Capitol, in front of the Arkansas State Capitol on the steps. My buddy Aunt Thomas and I found a violinist, and the song is about, well, an event horizon is, does anyone know what event horizon is? Have you heard this term? Okay, so there's this thing in outer space called black holes. You should look into them. They're interesting stellar events. We're not sure what they are, but anyways, they're super strong in gravity. Not even light can escape a black hole. That's how strong the gravity is. So the event horizon is the point, is the distance from the black hole at which once light crosses it, it cannot escape the black hole. It will inevitably go into the black hole. Nothing can escape the black hole once it crosses the event horizon. So I said music for me has to come from a specific idea. The impetus for that was the food we eat in the United States. A lot of it is not as healthy as it should be. So without getting really into that, that was sort of what it was about, and that was a 3-piece movement. And after I made that song, here's why I bring all this up. You asked if I created anything. Since I've created that song, I've actually felt like I said everything I needed to say. I exhausted myself of musical devices. In fact, I applied to UCA and I was accepted. I decided not to go to UCA because the truth is I like the act of recording and bringing the music into the world more than I do actually creating the music myself. So you can find our Event Horizon performance on YouTube. It was just recorded with I think that camera actually. But anyways, since then, no. I've made a couple random beats since then. I like taking old classic rock and psychedelic rock and remixing that into something that someone can rap to. But most of the time, no one can actually rap to it just because it's not typical, you know? You have to understand that kind of music before you can start jiving to it. There's kind of, go ahead.
Do you have a SoundCloud, to listen to it?
I do, sir.
Yeah.
And in fact, we had talked about that beforehand. Can we play that?
Sure.
Okay, there. Now's a great time to play some of the other examples, some things I recorded, some of the stuff that I've produced myself. Let's check that out. You have a question?
Yeah, okay. Is it better to record live drums or electric drums with MIDI using it? Which one is better?
Okay. That is an excellent question, and that's a really common question, actually, because there are more options now than ever for recording with synthesized drums, right? You got Easy Drummer and TuneTrack and all these programs that have fairly realistic drum sounds, and you can program them to do what you want. Here's what I'll say. It depends on the result. It depends on what you want it to sound like. There's recording acoustic drums, which I would call an organic recording. There's your Easy Drummer, which is your digital programming, right, where you can use Reason or Fruity Loops. There's a ton of programs for that stuff. They all work great. And somewhere in the gray area, you can actually sample real drums. Like I can have you sit on a drum and mic up a snare and record that snare. We can take that sound and program that in Fruity Loops. So here's what I'll tell you. If you want it to sound more human and organic, record real drums. If you want it to sound like 9 Inch Nails, go in the middle and use a combination of all 3. If you want it to sound like Good Charlotte, or like there's a lot of heavy rock bands now that are using these super fat kick drums that are like knocking your teeth out when they go. Then you want to be over here using the synthesized drums. So totally depends on what you want to do. The last thing I'll add though is I actually got into recording electronic music because I found it so hard to find people to work with. A lot of people say they want to do stuff, not many of them actually do it. So finding a drummer to show up on time who's got a kit that's tuned and you have microphones to record it, that's a circumstance that can be hard to create. Whereas this thing's ready to go any day, any time. See what I'm saying?
Yeah, thanks.
Any other questions?
Is it the pad for recording on like the
Oh, okay. Please go to soundcloud.com /studio 1984. Sir.
How important is equipment in like music production and recording?
I'm guessing you're asking about quality,
Yes.
like price kind of?
No, like price and like quantity and like how much equipment and like when do you have too much equipment, stuff like that.
Okay. Awesome question. Here's how I can start answering that, is the music you hear on the radio sounds the way it does because of the equipment they use. When I speak to you, the vocal cords in my throat resonate, and it causes a vibration, much like your instruments, and air particles start pushing forward out of my mouth at 726 miles an hour, okay? That needs to go into some kind of device that's going to turn it into an electrical signal. So this question goes back to the question of, you have your goal, you identify the steps, and then the quality by which you execute those steps determines the quality of your result. So this is an $80 microphone. This is an AKG Perception 170. How this microphone sounds compared to a $1,200 Neumann TLM 103 is indescribable. The Neumann is beautiful. It is round, it is musical, it is lush, it is rich, it is big. This microphone is a little sterile, it doesn't quite have the same dynamic range, but it works. And I use this with the orchestra still, simply because I can't afford those Neumanns yet. Maybe one day if I keep at it, and if I keep a good attitude, I'll get them. So what I'm getting at is you shouldn't let price point stop you from recording and creating what you want to create. Like some of the first microphones I bought when we established our business, we took out a loan and we made it a point to buy one very good set of microphones. We spent $1,000 on a stereo pair. That's 2 microphones, $1,000. I do not regret that. They sound awesome. But we also bought just some lower grade mics, simply because they work. Your average person is listening to crappy MP3s on crappy headphones in an environment as they're walking somewhere or driving somewhere. They don't know the difference. Until you're really ready to start doing what I'm doing, this stuff is awesome, and it's going to be good. The sky is the limit, dude. You can spend $80 on a mic, you can spend $10,000 on a microphone. And what I will still tell you, though, is regardless of the microphone, the performance is still the most important factor, and what you do with it also matters. Does that help? Awesome. Any other questions? Sir?
This may go off a little off topic, but have you ever tried or used a Vocaloid software before?
Use a what?
A Vocaloid software?
Vocaloid, I think, is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
I do not know. What is Vocaloid?
It's sort of a voice
Synthesizer?
It's not really a synthesizer,
Okay.
but there's already voice installed in it, and you make it sing what you want it to.
That's really cool. No, you taught me something, man. I haven't heard of that.
I've got it, it'll come through the speakers.
Okay. I'd like to plug in the cable here just so people can see what you're looking at too. Is that possible?
Yeah.
Thank you. Because I'd like to pull up what you just asked about on the screen here, so I can see it myself and everyone else can see. Is that something you're using or you want to use?
I want to use it.
Okay.
Like I tried it before, but like it didn't go well.
Okay. My recommendation would be two things. Hit the forums. There's a lot of places like you just search like I need help, find help. Check out the manual.
I did. And,
Yeah.
I was
wish
a
I could do
trial
that.
and I only had like 15 days. And while I was doing that, it just ended.
Oh, bummer. No, I haven't. A lot of the vocal processing that I've done in the past, I'll tell you what gets me some really interesting results. It's called reamping. Reamping is the process of recording a sound, playing it back through a speaker in a different environment, and using another microphone on that speaker to re-record it in the program. So you can get like real reverb or real distortion, things like that. I want to check out that program when we can get it up. I don't know what's going on. But let's run this for it.
There's one for English, Japanese, and there's actually for almost every language.
It's okay.
I'm a You got some chips.
So I didn't write this. This is one of those breakthroughs I was talking about. But I took the track and I found pieces I liked. I rearranged them. I add effects. I single out specific musical elements. And even like that snare drum, I drag all over the place. I used the delay.